Well, I'm not sure who else we're gonna get, so why don't we get started?
Wow, Lee's not coming?
I didn't see him up in his office, so.
Nor did I.
No, it was all dark when we came through too.
Well,
That's
last week,
unusual.
last time we had a record attendance. Since we had a new and different location and refreshments and everything else, so.
It was a refreshment. So probably about
I had a little bit the feeling that we might have a lighter attendance today, but that's okay.
It's not too bad.
So I thought that was a very productive meeting. And I'm planning to go to Ben's walking tour this afternoon.
Oh, me too.
I'm gonna go? Oh, okay, good.
Oops.
Remember the fellow we met, the staff guy from the Historical Museum, Ben
Director
Oh,
of
yeah,
education.
yeah.
Walter, I think his name was.
Yeah,
And he's doing a walking tour of the North Main Street churches
oh,
every other Thursday.
Yeah.
So he did one 2 weeks ago, but I didn't make it to that. So I'm gonna go to this one at 1:30. And then he'll cover, it starts at the museum at 1:30 and he will cover the Catholic Church, the Episcopal Church, the
right next
Methodist
door.
Church, and the Congregational Church. So just a loop of the 4 churches that are within easy walking
Okay.
distance there of the museum. And you go inside each one, so you get to see the
Mhm.
sanctuary and, he'll talk about the history of the churches and North Main Street, and so sounds interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought it was a good, I'm really curious to see how I think he's gonna keep it up for maybe 2 months. So he'll do it, 4 or 5
Oh.
times. And so people won't have the excuse, oh, I had something else to do that day. They'll have plenty of opportunities.
Well, I figure we're probably not gonna get a better weather day to walk around than today,
That
sunny
is
and
true.
60s.
Yeah.
Maybe by the next 2 weeks, it'll be
Yeah, well, we'll see.
more
We'll
consistent.
see. Yeah.
Yeah, I want us to go on it too, but we haven't had a chance yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll
Well,
get there.
anyway, I'm curious to see how the attendance, goes from one of them to the other, because that's another good way of getting, giving people the opportunity to see walking tours as opposed to making it self-guided or making it a one-time thing.
Mhm.
Of course, you have to have somebody who's willing to do it every other
Right.
week or,
Yeah.
do it on a regular basis.
Well, he seems pretty excited about. all that sort of
Preston
stuff.
used to do that.
Preston, he did them usually a one-time thing
Yes.
though, and then there'd be a dinner afterwards or something like that. So he had a good group of people who followed his programs.
But it is good to have it continuous because word will spread, hopefully.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Word
like
of
you said,
mouth.
if you can't go one
Yeah.
week, you can go
Right.
another time.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, when we met at the museum last time, Tony was eager to have us consider changing our meeting time so that she could come to the meetings since she teaches during the day. And we have talked about changing to later in the day. In fact, we did try that once before for a few sessions, but it didn't seem like we were getting any different people.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, let's talk about it again, but and my personal preference is to do it in the morning.
Yeah, because you do it in the afternoon, it breaks up the day, because you get started on something and suddenly you could be out working in the yard. Well, now you gotta run in, grab a shower, go over and do this, and then the rest of the day is shot. So,
Yeah, you might forget. I'd rather have it in the early evening as opposed to in the late afternoon, but.
Did she
but
say,
morning
Sarah Linda,
hours.
like what time what time it would have to be for her to be able to make it, or?
I don't think she said, but let's see,
No.
she works in. I don't remember where, Fairport maybe. or
Because I'm happy
somewhere.
to come in the early evening too, or whatever, that's fine with me.
Because it is only once a month.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I don't know if we'd be able to have it at the town here if it was in the early evening. Because then it would be after their official close hours.
That's a good point, but they do have
They
meetings,
have
they have night
meetings,
meetings,
yeah.
it's just that somebody from the
Okay.
town would probably have to stay here.
Okay.
it's,
We could try to overlap it with something that's already happening in the evening, like town court or town board meeting or that sort of thing, because then staff members would be here anyway.
Uh-huh.
Because if we had to have it outside of that, and the town person has to be here, that's overtime for them. That's an extra
Right, right,
expense for the
right. We don't
town.
want, we don't want.
Sarah,
Unless one of,
Well, no,
unless Leaf-
actually Leaf could do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Leaf has probably got the ability to
Yeah,
come in
yeah.
and.
and Sarah does
And
too.
Sarah, yeah, but that's overtime for Sarah,
Sarah's
whereas,
got kids.
whereas, you know, Leaf is kind of on a hourly.
But depending on whether you're having it morning or late or later.
Yeah, if you have it in the evening, then.
Yeah,
It,
then
be
she
nice.
probably can't make it.
if we know Leaf is gonna be here all the time, then that'd be good.
Right, right. Well, what about if we split it up and had maybe one meeting a quarter in the evening?
Yeah.
I mean, that it's a little confusing because people have to remember if it's a morning meeting or an afternoon or an evening meeting, but
But you're diligent about sending out the emails,
yeah, I mean,
so,
if I just
you know,
make sure it's obvious in the header that this is not a morning meeting, this is a late meeting.
right.
I haven't heard from Eric.
Eric, what do you think about meeting time?
He's sleeping.
I like the idea of early evening. The tree group is in there on early evenings. And I think Tony would be a valuable resource. She has a wealth of knowledge on local history and state archival materials, state documents. She's an educator who uses those in the classroom. I'd like to be able to accommodate her if we could. And I think doesn't Leaf do a lot of substitute teaching during the day?
I don't know. Yeah, I think he does some of the time anyway.
Okay, I know he was in for me when I was teaching, so that, you know, we could ask him if an early evening meeting would be better, so he could join us on a more regular basis.
Yeah, it's only once a month.
Yeah. So what do you think?
Right.
What do you mean by early evening? 6:30, 7?
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock?
I'm
Yeah,
thinking 7.
have to check with what people are gonna, if they're getting home from work, what their dinner time is, family obligations are, and structure all
What
that.
time did we start last time and Tony was able to make it? Was it 5:30?
That was 5:30.
Maybe 5:30 then.
Yeah. that was 5:30.
I mean, so it's not like the whole family would be coming, it's just that one person, so the family could once a month to eat without the member being there. Yeah, the early evening would be,
So is that good with you, Eric, 5:30?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, let's make our next meeting 5:30 then, and
Okay.
it'll be June, whatever the first
okay,
Thursday of June is. And I'll check with Sarah to see if Thursday 5:30 is a reasonable time.
Thursday at 5:30,
It's June 2nd.
that's not good for me.
Well,
Oh,
Thursday,
that's right. Didn't you have another meeting?
Yeah.
The
Egg
Agriculture?
meeting, yeah,
the ag team,
yeah,
Do they have-
7 o'clock every Thursday,
Where does it meet?
right here.
right here,
Right here?
but you can't be two places at once.
Well,
But if ours is at 5:30, we'll bring you a sandwich and you can eat between meetings.
if ours,
No.
if ours is at 5:30, goes an hour and a half, you know, you'd be just in time for your 7 o'clock meeting.
I wouldn't have to go anywhere.
Then you start another meeting, huh?
Well,
We'll bring you a beer to have in between.
Ooh,
can we entice you?
no,
No,
And
no,
that way,
I don't drink.
bring
So-
you NA. Okay, well, I'll ask Sarah what day of the week would be might be the most convenient for town hall being open anyway, because of other activities.
okay,
And see.
so it
see
doesn't
if-
conflict with your.
So that
your-
it's,
your-
so that it doesn't have to be Thursday.
I was gonna say, so you're thinking maybe another day of the week then?
Yeah, maybe
Would you be
that's-
available another day of the week?
Almost any day of the week other than Thursday.
So the ag meeting is the first Thursday of every month
Yeah.
then? Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, well, you could have it the second Thursday.
Yeah.
That would be consistent. I would know that I got a meeting to go to
On a Thursday.
on Thursday.
There you go.
Thursday's your night out.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right. That might be the easiest, to just change it to the second Thursday.
Yeah,
As opposed to.
that's a good
Okay.
idea. So that would be the 9th then.
Okay, I'll check that with Sarah.
Okay.
So, all right, we'll give that a try and see if Tony shows up and anybody else shows up that might otherwise not be coming to our meetings. And-
Yeah, you wonder whether Jared would be able to come also then.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, well, he's pretty meeting heavy anyway, but
Jared.
Jared's.
Jared Simpson.
Oh, duh.
Yeah, the supervisor.
Okay, good. Well, newsletters, we have Tony's house description, which I think she did a nice job on this month.
I skimmed it. It looks like it's a good article.
It's good.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep, she got all the detail, every single owner that it had, and she was able to figure out pretty much what they did, how it changed, and
Wow.
she did a
I
nice job.
didn't see one.
It was in there. Yeah, if you looked at it on your computer.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you click on the link, you don't get the whole newsletter. You get, you just get the
Yes.
first half of it. And then when you get to the last page, you have to click for, if there's something at the bottom that
It's
says see
on
see
our
more.
newsletter, right?
It's in the town's newsletter. Yeah, it's in there.
Yeah.
Just have to keep it, but it wasn't one of the first articles. So you just have to keep going all the way down to the end and you'll see it.
Okay.
But there's a picture of it. It's a house on Kramer Road.
Oh, really?
It's a
Yeah.
big house.
Pretty large house on,
Yeah.
near where Kramer Road makes the 90-degree turn there.
Okay.
And she thought it was pre-1850 anyway, sometime.
If it's on the north end,
No, towards the middle. Towards about halfway between Route 21 and Middle Cheshire
oh,
Road.
I know, yeah.
It's a white house,
Mm-hmm.
fairly substantial white house.
Yep.
On the on the north side, I think. Anyway. So now we need a new subject for the June one. Any ideas?
I'd rather keep concentrating on the cemetery stuff rather than trying to write an article.
Right. Well, I would like to be able to say something about our survey, but I haven't gotten any indication that any work is going on there. So I'm a little disappointed in our consultants. I did send them a note on Monday asking for an update and I didn't get any answer. You know, maybe somebody's on vacation, but
They should have still answered you.
yeah, they should have. And I'm sort of concerned that they had intended to do their drive around, including taking photographs before the leaves were out, and the leaves are now almost out. So
Yeah,
if they don't hurry up to do
Getting
that, they're
close.
gonna have a hard time with their photographs.
Mhm.
So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that they will in fact be done by the September date, but I think the idea that they'd be done by August in time for us to have a public program, I'm kind of skeptical about that. So they may have to ask for an extension or something. I mean, maybe they just, who knows? They're not talking. But anyway, if they do come out of the woodwork and they get going, maybe we could do an article about how that project is underway and what it's going to result in and so on.
If you don't hear back from them, is there someone you can call?
Oh, yeah,
To say-
we can call it's now a subcontract situation where the town has contracted with Bureau Architecture, which did the first
Oh.
survey.
Right.
But
yeah.
then Bureau turned around because of Katie Como leaving and taking another job.
Right.
Bureau turned around and subcontracted the work of the survey to the Landmark Society. So we could either contact the Landmark Society directly. I mean, I know the director there a little bit and also the folks at Bureau because they're ultimately responsible.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but I'll give them another few days anyway. See how it's going.
Mhm.
So that might be another one, or another profile about a building would be another good one. I did write to the Blazaks who own the Foster Fruit Farm barn. I thought that was such a good potential
That's-
one, but I didn't get an
Blazak
answer.
Junior, right?
Eric Blazak,
Mhm.
yeah, but no answer from him. So I guess they're not interested. But can you think of any other barns where you think the owner loves to talk about their barn and publicity and everything else?
You're gonna have to give me a. Yeah, got several. But I don't have them right here.
Well, yeah, get a hold of me and,
I can do that.
one other one that occurred to me was, one of the bed and breakfasts, either the Sutherland House, which is on,
21 or,
well, it's on County Road 32,
Yeah.
near 21, and the Cobblestone Bed and Breakfast on Westlake Road.
oh,
I mean, since that, you would think that those owners would be happy to have the attention, because it
If
would
they're
put
not
their
busy.
property in the public eye a little, even a little bit more than they already are.
if they're not busy.
If they're not, well, whether they're busy or not, I mean, it's not a whole lot of work on their part. They just need to sort of give us
Well,
permission to
If
do
they
it.
got a lot of people, several people in there using it.
Oh, well, it's not like we would want to have pictures in the bedrooms or anything. It would, I'm sure we could work something out with them. Because it would mostly be an exterior picture and maybe a picture of the barn. Does the Sutherland House have a barn? That
They did,
they did, but did it come down?
they took it down.
I think I remember going to a barn sale there back in the 80s.
And midweek might be a good time too, when you're not in the heavy tourist season right now. So if somebody did it this in May for a June article, maybe they're not super busy. A bedroom picture is always nice though.
Yeah, but they always
one
have
bedroom.
bedroom pictures on their websites.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily have to take any pictures.
Yeah.
Use them.
That's true.
The Cobblestone House is in the town then?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's right,
I guess I don't know where on
Well, if
Westlake
you're-
Road the city is versus the
You come
town.
up the
No,
hill.
nothing.
as
It
you come
goes
up, where,
all the way to,
from your
it's
place,
all-
if you're coming towards town, you go by the yacht club and then you're going up that long hill. And just before you get to Ashton Place, it's on your left there.
Yeah, I know where the Cobblestone, because it is a building in the back too.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I know where it is, but I guess I thought the part of Westlake Road there was city.
No, the city
No.
doesn't start until up by Deerfield Drive,
Oh.
quite
okay.
close to it, that most of that is the town.
Oh, okay, quite close to
right,
Parish.
right, like that map.
Yep, all the way up.
Oh,
The
okay,
rest of it is all in the town.
okay.
Yeah. So I've met the the owners of that one. Well, they're right across the street from me. I live just down towards the lake a little bit from there.
Mhm.
And,
The other side.
so I could, and also I have a good historic picture of that house, of the Cobblestone House. So that would be a good one.
Yeah,
The Sutherland House, I don't know. I used to know the owners, but
there's,
I think it's sold
there's more to the Sutherland House
more.
in size.
It's bigger. That's
Yeah.
right. The other one is, I think it's only 3 bedrooms.
Yeah.
It's 3 bedrooms that they
Mm.
lease out plus. the
One
owners.
level.
How
Oh,
old is the Sutherland House, Brady? You know how old it is?
oh, 18 something.
Yeah, it's a Victorian house, so I would say something like 1875.
And where is that?
Right across,
It's on Bristol Road, which
Yeah.
is.
right directly
Road
across
32.
from here. No,
No, it's on Bristol Road, isn't it? Yeah, it's on Bristol Road.
What's the one that's on 21? Is that it? There's one on 21 right off of 5 and 20, a bed and breakfast. What one is that?
5 and 20. Sutherland House, if you take Bristol Street out of the city and you cross 5 and 20,
Mhm.
and then before you come to the place where Route 21 turns off to the left and where Miller Park is, between 5 and
Okay.
20 and
It's
Miller
on
Park.
Bristol Road.
It's on Bristol Road. And
Right.
there's-
Looked it up.
It's on the left.
Yes,
it's
okay.
down there.
And I
It's down
thought it
there,
was,
yeah.
okay, I thought that was 21 also.
It is
Well,
21.
Okay,
it
okay,
is.
so that, okay.
You're
so I
right,
know
it
what you
is
mean.
21.
Okay,
So that's the one. It's called
Okay.
Sutherland House. Sutherland was the name.
Yeah.
of, an early owner. I don't know if they were the ones who built it.
Mm.
But it's quite an impressive Victorian house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's a
that's-
clapboard house as opposed to masonry.
It's one of 4 or 5 in a row.
That we're all Sutherland. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that on the maps. You go
Yeah.
down that road and you see Sutherland, Sutherland, Sutherland. It's
Oh.
probably a big family.
One
Hmm.
family owned it and the father made sure that every son had a house.
Nice.
That was 1850 maybe. Somewhere around that, when the old man owned it.
So all the daughters got shortchanged, huh?
Right, well, there are no
No
daughters.
Oh, okay.
That makes it easier.
That I know of.
Then you know, okay.
All right, well, nobody else comes up with any big ideas. I'll see if I can pursue one or the other of those.
Okay.
Either one of those
So, yeah,
sounds good.
so we talked about the survey. How's the cemetery coming?
It's still there. People are at rest. The weather's been pretty lousy. So
But it's gonna get better.
it's gonna get better.
Yeah.
So we'll
Finally,
be able
next
to
week,
get
we're
back
gonna
out
have
with
it
the
really
last 6 rows done. So good
All
time
right.
is.
Yeah, and I'm still plugging away when I have a few spare minutes on the find a grave thing. So,
We should get quickly done.
but that's very time consuming,
Oh, yeah.
believe it or not, just to, figure out whether the information that we have on the sheet is accurate compared to what's on Find a Grave.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of yellow highlighting. But it's moving along.
We probably should
Slow
have
but
picked
steady.
a smaller cemetery.
Which one? Academy?
Academy,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have started on a smaller one.
Well, let us know if you want some help in the field.
Well, when we get to the
Yeah.
point where we can get back out and do the stones again.
Yeah, when we know there's gonna be in the future, a couple of nice days, so we can plan in advance rather than sending out an APB saying, we're headed over there today, anybody that can come. No, we don't
Well,
want
next week it
that's not
looks like
fair.
good weather, just about every day. We got a nice stretch of good sunny, warm weather next week,
Oh, good.
so.
The, along the same line as the cemetery, we looked over the proposal for the cemetery committee,
Yeah, the draft, yeah.
the draft on it. It was rather interesting.
I haven't seen that either.
So there- I
That was-
didn't look at the final, but I saw an earlier draft. There's a lot of stuff about the procedures for new burials. I mean, a lot of it has to do with the operations of the business of
Yeah.
cemetery.
There's
I
actually
think
things
I
where
was
they have
supposed
to
to be
do
on
some-
that.
What?
I think I was supposed to be on that, but
The cemetery,
Well, the current and former town historian may serve as a voting member or an ex officio non-voting member.
no, I was supposed to be a member of it, but no, no,
Word hasn't
Oh,
been out.
a member of the people that were writing this up,
no.
the committee? Oh, okay.
The,
The committee.
never
itself.
mind.
Yeah, because the appointment of terms of office says the town historian and or former town historian can be on the committee.
Oh, that must be, that's where I'm
so you're on it.
included.
You're on it if you want to be,
Yeah,
I think some
Or,
of-
or not.
or not.
yeah.
No,
it's-
I would, yeah, I would want, I would like to be.
It was interesting. I also looked at it for editing things too, and I always thought the word internment with an N was the proper word. And they have here interment with no N in it.
That's not right.
So it is correct.
No,
So I went out to look at the meaning of interment versus internment. And internment with an N means that you're imprisoned.
Oh, I was
Where
gonna say, I know I've heard that.
Yeah, where interment, and it says even
Burial.
here is interment without the N is burial. Yes, so it's interesting because part of it, in some areas they had it one way, and other areas they had it another way.
Well, I can appreciate the mixed up.
Mhm. And the thing
Well,
is
it's kind of a
too,
prison sentence, you know, for.
One way or the
One
other.
way or the other, yeah.
well, the interesting thing too is that it did say in the definition that people do get it mixed up because it's hard to specify, you know, when you're talking to enunciate it. But not only that, if you're doing word check, it's not going to pick it up
Mhm.
because
It's a
they're
real
both
word.
they're both proper words, yeah. So I went through and had a few comments on it.
Yeah, that-
Which
some-
I guess I think I'm gonna write to Sarah. Would she be the one to
Yeah.
send an email to? I guess, and if
Sarah.
she's Sarah Reynolds, if
Yeah,
she's,
she'll know where to
she'll
send it.
know who to forward it to, yeah,
Right.
yeah. So, because in the format, they skipped a whole bunch of letters as well, so.
Yeah. And this- some of the restrictions they have there, like they have, you can't have glass there, that's understandable, but then they talk about, was it the eternal flame? You can have an eternal flame on each side of the stone. Well, exactly when, I think they need to define exactly what they mean by a headstone, what they need to define by a footstone, what's going to be defined as a like a marker or like a monument type of thing. I think they have to spell that out because I think people may end up putting things where they think it means, but it may not be what the committee means. And when that happens, it may be right in one person's mind, but might not be right in somebody else's mind. And you have to think in terms of the maintenance. If they put an eternal flame, it's by a headstone, and the headstone's out in the middle there, it's gonna, how are they gonna move around it unless they, you know, the likelihood of something happening and damage should occur. So I think they need to be more specific in their definitions, so it clears up any confusion. Just my thoughts.
But they are having a meeting on the 16th. This one and something else. They have two things on the docket for Monday, the 16th, but we're gonna be away that and coming back that day. So I don't know if we'll be back in time to be at the meeting or not.
Well, send your comments to Sarah.
Mhm,
They'll-
yeah.
They'll deal with them.
Yeah.
I think when they write these things, they typically just import the language from some state, some website that suggests what other communities have done.
Right.
So if there are mistakes in it, it probably just keeps getting multiplied.
Mhm,
Um,
yeah. But it was interesting reading.
Well, good. I'm glad you went over it. All right, well, the Onondaga Park project is moving ahead pretty well, and I will, it's now close to in final design form, but there's still a decision to be made by the Parks Committee. We've gone back and forth quite a bit about the stream trail and whether we want to identify the stream trail on the map as a recognized trail. Right now, there isn't really a trail, but people who are there in the summer frequently walk up the stream, that, you know, without it being a recognized trail. But there are occasionally problems with people going too far up there and going beyond the boundaries of the park. And so, and the neighbor who owns the adjacent property gets excited about that because of liability concerns and other things. And the town has liability concerns too, because there are waterfalls up there that they don't want people falling off, or they don't want rocks coming down or whatever. So,
It's not like it hasn't happened in the past.
right, and you know what happened at Grimes Glen, I mean, that's a much more steep, potentially dangerous part. But anyway, they are, so that's still not quite resolved, and depending on how they resolve it, and they may resolve it by just saying, don't even say anything about walking in the stream. We're not going to prevent people, but we're also not going to encourage it.
Well, do they have, is there actual trail there that's been a formal trail?
I
that's
don't
been
think so.
developed?
No, well, when you start right behind the kiosk, there is a trail. There's an obvious walking path, but it takes you right into the water. Sooner or later, you got to get in the water. And then you walk up a ways in the water, and shallows out again, and then there is a little bit more trail. So it's not, it's an unmaintained trail, basically.
Well, maybe the thing to do would be to not put it on the map because of the liability issues, both for the homeowner and also for the town. And then post a sign there that travel beyond this point is at their own risk, and make the sign big enough so that people.
Yeah, and
Understand
that's what
that.
they've done, actually, right down near the kiosk. There's a sign that says hiking is not advised.
Yeah, but is it?
No, it says no trail, hiking is not advised. And that bothers me because it says no trail, but if you just look straight ahead, you see a trail.
Well,
So,
the thing is, that where the kiosk now is within the boundaries of the park itself.
right,
And it's on the other side of the street from the trail, right?
No.
No,
no, it's right at, it's,
It's right by the trail that goes up the stream?
yes,
Okay,
so you can see it from the kiosk.
okay, well, but.
But I think you're right. I think that's the way they'll come down. They'll say, don't label it as a stream on
Yeah,
here. But the related, well, let me show you the panels. And here's the history one.
okay.
This has got the 1922 photographs from the Museum and Science Center of the young women at Oneonta Park.
Nice.
And then the natural history panel has these 4 images
Oh.
from Peter Blackwood, one for each season. So we got winter, spring, summer, fall, and just a few words about what you can do in each of the 4 seasons. And then the third one, which is a wider map, is here's the map that Ontario County Map Department made for us. So that shows the trails here. I think the lines showing the trail should be a little more prominent because I think probably even from right across the room, you can barely see the trails.
Right, yeah.
Up close, or if you look at it on a computer, they're very obvious. So, and then there's a 4th map which Sherry Norton also made, and this is to print on paper at 11 by 17.
Oh,
Just for a handout.
so
So
would there be, the handouts would be at the
that's up to the
kiosk,
Parks
or-
Department. I mean,
Oh,
that
okay.
it costs money to print things. So whether they
Yeah.
do it now, next year, whatever, or they might do it and just do a limited number and maybe give one to everybody who rents a cabin, but not give them out to every single visitor to the park. Because
Is
not
there
everybody wants to.
Wi-Fi at the park?
Yes, there is, but probably just down near the cabins.
Okay, but would that be within proximity to where the kiosk or display is gonna be?
I wouldn't count, maybe, but I wouldn't count on it. But most people, they're getting it through the internet anyway,
Okay,
rather than.
so if you put a QR code on the map that's on display there, people could then download.
Yeah.
That map.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what
without a problem.
both of these panels have the QR code, and then
Okay.
they're gonna say, for more information, go click here or go to, and then we'll have the web address.
Okay.
So, let me just
Oh, those look
pass those over
nice.
to you. And then for the, and Eric has been working on a piece of the digital accessories that go with it. And also on some trail descriptions, which we're going to figure out. We haven't yet done it, but we're going to figure out how to get those trail descriptions incorporated into this map. So that there maybe by expanding the legend down here at the bottom so that there's a box that will say, all right, for the lowlands loop, look for eastern pine trees and oaks and hickories and, the vineyard rose from back when it was a vineyard, and then just a few sentences about each of the 3 trails, so you know what to look for.
Nice. Of course, it
so
looks
there's
like you've got a space up above where the legend is too. That beige area there.
It could go here, possibly, yeah, there's some
Yeah.
design
Good.
options as to how it's gonna work.
Can you hear me? I'll just chime in here. Should have that done on Monday. I've been up there 4 or 5 times, doing double duty, actually marking dangerous trees, trees over the trail with tape. As a member of the ECB and the tree group, so I'm kind of doing double duty. I have all the trails described in notes, except the upland loop. And I'll take the nice weather break today to mark that trail and also describe it. And then put it all together and send it to you.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I think in terms of how long the descriptions ought to be, why don't you write up something that you think is an appropriate length for a hiker, you know, the information that they might want, and include at the beginning what the total length of that section is. And you can get it from these little numbers on the map.
Yeah,
I think I sent you what I added them up to. They're all around half a mile or so. I mean, none of them are really long, but they all add up to, you know, 1.5 to 2 miles. But anyway, on the paper map, we're going to have something along the lines of this on one side of it, but then on the back, we could put the trail descriptions in nice large type. So you could go on to a whole paragraph about each one if you have that much information that you think is useful. And then for the other one, for the kiosk map, I would try to boil it down to maybe just 2 sentences, because there's not that much space here. So we would just have the name of the trail, the length of the trail, and then just a little bit about what to look for there. So it would be like the short version and the long version.
the longer version will include, the obvious from a hiker's point of view is condition of the trail, dominant tree species, elevation change of the path itself, routes, no routes to trip over, kid friendly, that type of thing.
Yeah,
You're breaking up.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. You got
Sorry. So yeah, I have one more description to do and then I'll send it off to you. On the natural history, or the human history, I should say, am I still breaking up?
No, this is fine.
Okay. On the pre-settlement, there's really no significant prehistorical or archaeological evidence at Onanda that's been found. As I write up the pre-European settlement piece, do you want me to just kind of go back and list the cultural groups or the ages of the different groups that inhabited the area around the lake, or just stick to the Iroquois, the Seneca themselves?
I think just sticking to the Seneca
Yeah.
makes sense.
Okay,
I
all
mean,
right. So there had been, Eastern Woodlands people there for thousands of years. But I didn't know whether you wanted those at least mentioned.
Well, yeah, I think you could mention them, but I wouldn't go into much detail.
No.
It's going to be part of the timeline. So each item in the timeline, or maybe a couple of things in the timeline, if you want to put one for the Seneca Nation and then one for pre-Seneca Nation, going back, then, just like a phrase about
Okay.
each would work.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good
Some
idea.
contacts at the Rochester Museum and Science Center and Ganondigan, and looked at some of the archaeological sources of New York State, Ritchie's old book and a couple others, and there's been no significant archaeological finds in or very close to the park. There have been several up and down all the Finger Lakes, but nothing I could put a pin in right there. I was hoping to find that.
Well,
It occurs to me that there was a large apple orchard or something at the foot of the lake.
you mean
Okay.
at Rochester? Or at Woodville, or at the north end?
Before you go up the hill. I think, I have to look it up, but it was designated as an Indian apple orchard.
Okay.
Apparently and it was preserved because Sullivan's track didn't go that far south. So they didn't find it.
Oh,
And
okay.
their means of destroying everything, they didn't go far enough to find that apple orchard.
So that was near where Miller's Nursery
Yeah,
was?
yeah,
Oh, okay. Like at the foot of the hill, just before you go up
right.
the hill there. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
That's what
I
they
didn't
do.
know that. How close or how far from Ananda was that site?
But
How far from
How
Ananda?
far? Well,
Not
would
sure
it
how
have been
far.
on the south side of Point Rochester? Do you think, or would it have been on the hillside,
it would be on the flat.
on the point?
Yeah,
So that would have been part of the point.
Oh, okay.
there is a big open area. There is a house right near there.
On the,
I have to look at it again. I'm sorry. My memory goes in and out. I think I know I've seen it. It's in the flat area. You almost can see the lake from everything there. It's listed as an old orchard, an old.
Okay. All right. I'll try and find some archival evidence of that. If you come across anything, yeah, please let me know.
Yeah,
That would be interesting to note. I mean, you know,
I'll go look it up.
Yeah, I understand the Seneca kind of would plant orchards sometime, I mean, obviously right next to villages and towns. Some of them were pretty dense, but they would also plant them along hunting trails or routes, like the ones that transportation routes, like the one along the lake.
Mhm.
So there could be small orchards every 10, 15 miles. And kind of the Johnny Appleseed model
Yeah,
of sustainability.
yeah,
I'll let you know what I find.
What's that?
I said, I'll let you know what I find.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you. Yeah.
Sarah Linda, I noticed on this one here, it says walk up Barnes.
That's what I was
Creek.
just gonna
I
point
know.
out to her.
I know, that's the one thing that's still in flux. We gotta figure out some language that's okay with the Parks Committee.
Yeah,
on that.
and then our hickories, sassafras, is that all one kind of tree?
No, we need a comma there, but actually I've
Okay.
already changed that one
Oh,
to
okay.
make it more general and say, look for the colorful fall foliage to identify trees.
Uh-huh.
So,
See editor coming out.
yeah.
I guess I wasn't thinking of hickories. I guess I would think of, although I guess that's the plural and all the other words are plural too, so. You know, as far as the types of trees that are there.
Yeah, the hickory are one of the dominant species on the lowland trail. There's plenty of them. There's some of the healthiest trees along the trail.
Yeah, shagbark hickory is a big one.
Yeah.
We had a shagbark hickory at our other house and yeah. And we could always tell when it was gonna be a hard winter because we would hear the squirrels up there in July or August. You know, and the nuts would come down. And then when we had it taken down, my uncle made bowls for us out of the wood, which was,
We got two backyard,
yeah,
Shea Garden.
shagbark.
Yep.
Yeah,
Shagbark.
wow.
So,
Yeah, those panels look nice.
so on the bottom of the panels, you have the website and the QR code that will take you to it'll take you to a single site that's within the Ononda Park section of the Town of Canandaigua website.
Okay.
Oh,
It'll be, Ononda Park Digital Resources or something like that. And then it'll be divided up into, first of all, the download of the map. The second one will be, the other three will be, the second one will be the history. And for Ononda Park history, there are going to be two things. One is Ray in the, we'll have the video of Ray talking about the history of Point Rochester. And that's the
Okay.
video that you did 10 years ago.
Mhm.
We're just going to excerpt that out of the Westlake Legacy. So so you can just click on that and listen to Ray talk about everything from day one to the start of Ononda Park.
Good deal.
Nice.
When
So
I
that's-
could, when I can talk back then.
Yeah, no, that's a great piece of video. And then the other thing you can download will be this timeline, which is also a piece of Ray's work from back then. And Eric is going to enhance that by adding a couple of lines at the top on the Native American use of the land before the Europeans came along. So it goes into the Academy Tract and the 19th century use, and then the YWCA, and then Onondaga Park. So those are the history ones. And then you get into the natural history ones, and those go through the 4 seasons. So the one for winter will be this guide to winter, tracks in the snow. So people can see they can find the tracks. The spring one, Kim Burkhardt has made us a video of about a dozen and a half wildflowers that you're likely to find in the spring. And so you can click on that, and that takes about a minute to go through this whole series of wildflowers. And
Almost too late.
for this year, but
Yeah.
for another time. So let's see, that one is spring. For summer, we've got, there's that other one. Now this again is a little bit of a controversy, but we've got this one-page guide to fossils that will
Oh,
show you what, for instance, a brachiopod, all the different kinds of brachiopods or crinoid or corals or trilobites. So they're all on this. This is from a website called Fossil Guy. And he sells things also, but I got permission from him to just use this guide as part of our backup. So now that one, if they tell us, the town tells us, don't even mention the stream, then I guess we can't use the fossils. And in that case, we'll have to substitute something else for summer. I'm not sure what we'll do there, but. And then for
you
fall,
can from the lakes.
you can, yeah, I think we can keep the fossils anyway, because the fossils do in fact go all the way down under the bridge and into there. So we'll have that one. And then for the fall, Kim is also working on a video guide similar to the one on wildflowers, but that will be on trees. So that will help you identify trees by their leaves.
Nice.
Good deal.
Wow.
All those, the hickory and the beech and the birch and the oak and the, those will all be a good picture of the leaves and maybe even the bark too, but I think she's going to concentrate on leaves. So those are
Nice.
that's all going to be knitted together. And I think once we get a decision on the stream issue, then we should be able to get these produced and up by summer.
Good deal.
Wow,
Good.
good.
So
Something else to check off the to-do list, huh?
yeah, a long one, but I think the map in particular is really going to be helpful, and I'm eager to see whether people actually use the digital stuff. That's going to be fun too.
Oh, it'd be nice to have a map.
Yeah, it would certainly be nice to have it. At a minimum. So yes, maybe by next month we can say that thing is in production or even in place.
Good.
I've been pressing Lindsay a bit, as well as talking to Jared. I think everyone on the tree team and some folks in the ECB are doing the same thing. If we're going to be promoting Onondaga Park, the hazardous trees, the deadfall and the trees, the branches that are overarching the trail really need to be cleaned up. And again, at this our level, we can't make that happen. So I've been talking to those who can make that happen. Sometimes the highway department does it. Sometimes it's, the small stuff is Jeff, the part-time caretaker. But if more people are going to go up there, I'd feel a lot better with those trees and branches taking down. So if if any of you could even informally put a plug in to have that done. It's a tremendous matter of safety and liability, but it also makes the north side of the park much less attractive. At this point, I would maintain it really does not look like a trail or a forest that's well taken care of, well managed. I know that sounds harsh. I went up there with orange tape, and I don't mean to scare hikers away, but I marked all the trees that either are dead and have to go by the trail, and the trees that pose an actual physical and material hazard to hikers. So that just there's that to consider.
Well,
I thought that Jeff was retired.
I don't know.
I introduced myself to him. He wants to be kept in the loop, before any digging starts, because he has to call the utilities and make sure that there's, everything is flagged and marked before, any installation happens. But yeah, that north side of the park really needs some TLC. There's a lot of invasive species too, as you know. We're talking about getting volunteer groups out there and doing day-long cuttings and poisonings of the multiflora rose, the buckthorns. They're overtaking entire swaths of the forest floor. I just, if we're going to be promoting the park, I don't want people going up and not seeing the things that we're saying are there, instead seeing all these, vines and thorns and invasive species. So that's just a concern I want to pass on.
Eric, on those invasive species, is it anything that people will attach to people if they're walking through it, that they would be able to carry back to their own homes?
Good question. I don't know enough about the botany of these plants. Mostly it's buckthorn and multiflora rose and wild grapes. Some of the grapevines are, 5 inches across and go up the length of some pretty tall trees. But as far as taking anything home, seeds or anything from these, I don't know.
Because if that's the case, then that would provide more of an incentive to get rid of it.
Great point. I can ask him or do some of my own research on the hazards that these plants pose. That's a great point.
Okay.
Well, I don't believe that any digging is necessary to install these panels. I mean, they're just going to go into the existing kiosk frames the way they are. So it's not, I mean, unless the Parks Department decides to erect some, to have a duplicate of the map made and installed, say, at the trailhead up by the parking lot, which I think would be a good idea, because people are a lot more likely to see it there than they are in the kiosk.
Especially if they're parking up there. And
right, that's where people
they're not
park if they
gonna
want to
come
hike.
down and go back.
They don't park down by the, they don't park, especially in the summer when you have to pay to park down
Right.
on the other side. So that may happen, but probably not this year. Right, this year, all we're doing is kiosk.
Okay.
And I really don't think of this as a project that's promoting the park. There isn't going to be, as far as I know, there isn't going to be any publicity about it. It's really just a sort of a upgrade to an existing small facility. But also maybe the promoting part has more to do with the digital aspect of it. And we'll see whether people actually find the digital aspect of it. I hope they do. I hope that at least they'll make enough of the paper copies that they can have them down there at the place where you go and you pay when you first go into the park. Or maybe they'll send them to people who are coming to rent cabins in the park. So at least they have it, because they're newcomers.
A lot of local folks go there to trail run or walk their dogs. I mean, we do once a week.
Mhm.
And then, just, getting to know our backyard park, in more detail is very, very gratifying.
Yep, I agree. Well, I think when people finally start noticing it, they'll say, hey, why don't we do this with another park? So we'll see. But I don't know that any other parks have the rich history that Oneida does. They all have their own history. though,
One
so.
step at a time.
Yep. All right.
Except
Well,
maybe Miller.
Miller's got, yeah, but we've done, I mean, you worked on on some interpretive panels for those. So in terms of documentation, I think since the last meeting, we found out that Notre Dame Retreat House is going to.
So, or tear down or what?
Well, we don't know what's going to happen, but something's going to happen there. The Redemptorists want out. So not immediately, but I think that this year would be a good time to see if we can get in there and take some photographs.
Okay.
That would be important. I mean, that's not it's not much over 50 years old, but it is over 50 years old and
It
it's
is.
kind of an important institution within the town. It's one of the few religious properties that we have.
Okay.
So I think we should. And other than that, I don't know of any other demolition that's on the books for.
So we're pretty much covered then so far.
I think we're covered other than Notre Dame.
So you have the contact for the Notre Dame retreat?
I don't, but
Okay.
I'll get it from somebody. I'll
Okay.
find it.
How big a retreat, how many buildings do they have?
It's all one building.
One,
One
but it's large.
I think it was built to accommodate at least
Lakers.
20 people, if not
Yeah.
more, but mostly there were some people who were going to be permanent residents, and it was sort of for retired priests or monks or whoever they are.
Or
There were older people who were going to be permanent residents, but then there were other planned activities that would be people coming for a weekend retreat or for a week-long thing, so that there were some facilities for visitors.
Okay.
And the only time I've been in it was for a meeting that was held. Somebody arranged to have that as a meeting space, and it's a modern aesthetic.
we used to go there for mass.
Oh, they had a public mass?
Yeah,
Every now
but
and then?
that was because Father Charbonneau cut that out. No more masses. Because it was taken from his people that would come. In fact, it was us was big part of it. It was easy to go to that place to go to St. Mary's.
Oh, from when you lived in Cheshire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they didn't like it.
Financial draw from one place.
Politics. Huh?
Right.
Well, it would be nice to think they'll come up with a adaptive reuse, but
So it has rooms in it,
so there are living spaces.
living
Yeah.
spaces, I
You know,
should
they're
say.
austere, I would think.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I didn't get a tour of it. I just, saw this meeting room. It does have beautiful views though. out over
Well,
the
we'll
lake.
probably, when we shoot the photos, we're gonna have to have, go in a little bit more organized and. Because right now, every structure we've taken has been pretty self-explanatory as to where this room was, and where that room was and so forth. But if we
Right.
go in where there's so many rooms in the structure, we're gonna have to almost make a map of what we're doing, so we
Yeah,
can,
or maybe there already is a map.
Maybe there is.
I mean,
Yeah.
we'll have to.
yeah, I'll see if I can get a contact and.
Because if I'm going around and I'm taking 4 pictures of each room, from each corner, so I'm covering the room in entirety. That's a lot of pictures to try and figure out where they belong.
Right,
I mean, I've got GPS on the camera, that's good for where, but it's not gonna be close enough for them.
Yeah. yeah, but I'm sure there's a lot of repetition. I don't think we need every single room. But we'll see. Well, that's something I think we're not in a hurry for, but it'd
Okay,
be good to try to get it done this year.
okay.
if you want any help on that.
Do you know anybody there?
No, not anymore. Not since I left Cheshire.
Well, I remember when I was first living here as a year-round resident, there was that guy who was only about 4'10",
Yeah,
and he would come into town every day and go to the bank.
yep.
I don't know, what the cash flow was there, but he spent a lot of time in the bank and then he would.
Well, a lot of it was,
He wasn't
Chad.
robbing it, was he?
no, chatting.
Yeah, he was sort of their public relations person.
Yeah.
And he just had a lot of people he would talk. So you see him out on Main Street all the time talking. One person, and he was one of these people who would, smile and wave to everybody. He was a great guy. I can't even remember his name.
No,
He
me
was,
neither.
He was a real
And that's
fixture.
too bad.
Kind of like George Hamlin.
The
Yeah.
guy that we used to, down where we used to live, he used to walk up and down Berkshire Valley Road, and every car went by, he waved to them, you know.
Oh, there was a guy like that on Westlake Road, except he rode a unicycle.
Yeah.
And
Oh
every,
my
every
gosh.
single car that went by, he would wave, you'd be worried. He'd like go to the thing and he'd wave and have a big smile.
Isn't he the guy that lived over here, produced a small piece of paper that, like a newsletter?
Oh, that was Bob Moore.
No, well, maybe.
He rode a bicycle. He went up and down Westlake Road gossiping with everybody, and then he'd write a newsletter that was all the gossip.
Oh,
And they
okay.
talk about
He
women.
was a bicycle. This other guy, this was in the 80s and 90s. He was a unicyclist, and he was.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
unicyclist.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. He was up there balancing on. But he was, you couldn't miss him. He was, and then when he died, everybody was very sad about it, and they just, they put right in his obituary. You may not know this guy by name, but he was the unicyclist of Westlake Road.
Wow.
I can't remember his name. Anyway, well, any other business?
No?
We kept our meeting to an hour, so
Okay.
Cool.
nice work.
Good.
Okay,
Right.
thanks,
Okay.
Eric. I'll look
Thanks,
forward to
Eric.
hearing from you on Monday.
All right.
Happy hiking.
Have fun in Ononda Park.
Yeah.
Now the weather's broken. It's beautiful up there.
Oh, it is.
Is there poison ivy up there?
I've not seen it, but
There is
sometimes you
some.
don't.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's there, it just hasn't come up yet.
just
Okay.
wear long pants and pull up your socks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Just to let you know, Saturday, the tree group, we're gonna canvass all the cemeteries in the town. We're gonna try to do it all in one day. Some kind of a geographical, logical progression. And I've invited Leaf to join us. Kind of do two things at once. So if anything pertaining to, our group comes out of that, I'll let you know next meeting.
Okay.
So
Oh,
Saturday is,
To see what trees need to be taken down or trimmed or whatever, is that it?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
And what invasives are up there, but also, if we might write the occasional stone or something that we see, we'll, if Leaf needs a hand on something, there'll be more bodies there.
No, that's great.
So, yeah,
I'm really
Beyond
glad
the
to
ones
see
that are
those.
already there.
right. All right, thank you.
Okay.
You're weird.
All right, see you next month.
Yeah.
Thursday morning humor.
But, right.